Lord God, here we are again in our monthly meeting. We ask you to bless everyone here at Mount Vernon Towers, our staff and our extended families. Also bless our national leaders and our military personnel. You bless us so completely, Lord, and we thank you. Amen.
Okay, we'll follow this same format that we've been doing for the last couple of months, which is unexpected questions. We'll hold them until the end so that we can get through the business that we need to get through today. Hopefully it'll be
Can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah. For cell phone company.
Yeah, so we'll hold the questions to the end again, if you don't mind. That seems to work out well in terms of us getting through the agenda. We'll go through the financials, we'll go through committees, any other business, any questions at the end. So with that, I'll start with the minutes. Make a motion to accept the minutes as they were delivered to us from the, I guess, the August meeting. Second?
Second.
Go ahead, second. All those in favor? Aye. Great. All right. So, Rita, will you kick it off?
Yeah. I just want to welcome Linda. She has been voted on as our recording secretary.
I want to comment, she did a great job on the minutes.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Bill really believes that.
Absolutely.
All right. Looking at page 1 on the total company, feel like a broken record, but we still remaining consistent with the overall operating revenue and expenses. We were actually able to get out of the red this month in PCC, so hopefully that will continue. Our net income for August was $32,009. Unfortunately, our cash forecast on page 2 still looks to be in the negative, and I don't see that changing this year. You'll see on page 2 of the cash forecast, the projected amount we are under is to be $63,000 by December. As of 8/31, our unplanned expenses has accumulated to $439,000. We increased our capital account by $15,000 in August, bringing that total to $967,501. But we decreased our operating account in August by $28,000, bringing our total operating account to $107,311. Our total cash is $1,074,812 for an overall decrease for the month of August of $13,000. We had our large outlay of cash that was budgeted was $27,561, and our unbudgeted outlay was $85,671 for a total large cash outlay of $112,000. I keep forgetting to put this down there. Any questions on the cash outlay?
No, looks basically we are what we are. It's been the same.
Hey,
So-
you have to talk loud.
I'm sorry?
Can't hear you.
Can
So-
you?
We cannot hear you back.
Okay, so I think that the only point is that we seem to be on the line, on the path of that we've been on, and there's no surprises here. Forecast looks good. It's been a good forecast all year.
Yep.
Looks like we'll wind up where we're going to do, so we'll start to focus on what we're going to do next
Right.
year as we get through it, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Moving on to page 4, you'll see the meal count and trend. As far as dining, we're still recruiting. Todd felt positive this past week about interviews that he's had. We increased our meal count by 528 meals in the month of August over July. We're still in the process of improving our dining experience, of course. We are working on the process of the survey with Morrison's Management. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. We are going to be opening for lunch on October 11th. That is a firm date. More information will come out about that as far as to-goes and how the delivery process will work once we are opened up fully.
What was that date again?
October 11th.
Thank you.
On page 5, in building maintenance, we have several projects still in the works. I'm happy that I can say Hammond Hall has been completed. The repair outside of the dining room and the tool shed has now been completed. The keyless gate entry project is completed, and we have completed our structural assessment. We are still awaiting on the report to come, which will not be here until the end of next week. In PCC, I mentioned the last board meeting that the lobby area had been painted the same colors as the B hall, the dining room. This weekend, the A hall will be completed, that painting project. We are funding that by cashing in the credit card reward points. We are looking to have an open house on October 10th, and more information will come out about that, but we want it to be a big event, get information out to the residents, as many families as we can, and the owners as well. And leave it up to the core committee to go up and get all the pictures hung and everything tidied up before that. Sales and leasing. As far as the information that I have, we have 1 unit for sale and 4 for lease. The sales and leasing, I did not include that because I do not have a firm report on what actually is in contract and not in contract right now.
So go over it again, please.
Sales and leasing?
Yes.
In my records, I've got 1 that's for sale and 4 that is for lease. But I do not have a confirmed report as I usually would have.
Right. But we also have, there are clearly 7, how many vacant units do we have?
Total vacant, we've got 17 in the building.
All right.
They're not all showable for sale or lease.
Right.
Yes.
So really only 5 of them are active. That's
Right. If somebody was to walk in the door today, I could say I have 5 units to show you that I have privy to that information.
What's I know we hear this from time to time, but on the non-accounting of the other 12 units, right? But what is the general state of the
Several are units that residents have either moved on to further care or passed away, and they're not sure what they're going to do with the unit. It's not cleaned out. A few of them have been vacant forever. Well, when I say forever, up to 15 years on one of them that may be coming for sale. Just kind of in holding.
Okay.
Construction-wise, we have 4 units under construction right now. I feel like the construction area has slowed down a little bit on units. Not really sure why, but that's all I have on the financials if we want to get into the committees.
All right, yeah, sure. You want to kick off the budget committee?
Yes, we have had 2 meetings of the budget committee, and we have made great progress in putting together, or Rita has made great progress in putting together the forecast of what we expect our expenses are going to be for next year, and what our unplanned expenses or wish list items are going to be, if you will. We will have another meeting on coming Monday, and hopefully we're going to be soon moving into the position that we can start to put together what we think our fees that we're going to need for next year will be. So that information will be forthcoming fairly soon.
All right, so I'm going to go, do you mind if I go into a little bit more detail on
No.
on sort of the budget process? Now, in everybody's package, there's
Can't hear anybody.
Have to talk into the mic. Okay. In everybody's package, I don't think it's in the package
I've got the
there, but you have it on,
PowerPoint I can put up.
if you can put it on the screen, just so that people can see what we're talking about. So in everybody's package, so we, you know, as you,
Page.
oh, I'm sorry.
Page 6.
Page 6.
We don't have.
No, you don't. You really need to look up here, because this is a work in progress, so the words are gonna be more important than what's stated on that screen. So, because I really need to talk to the board on this, right? So, you know, what we're seeing is, as we looked at the last 5 years of revenues and expenses, you know, this is what we did for, I think we did this in the last meeting, but as we look through that, we can see when you start to talk about your budget and what you want to assess for a budget. As we look at how we work through our budgeting process, and I don't know, so it could be over the course of history for all I know. We only look back 5 years. But what we can see is that we didn't just use our homeowner dues as the funding mechanism for our operating expenses, right? We rely on a great number of other money, you know, income sources. So we have relied on the extra income from dining, the extra income from PCC, any number of things, catering, whatever it is, and we've relied on those things for the substitute source of income to cover what were normal operating expenses, which you would expect to come from the dues. And that all worked really well for a while. It worked well for a while because we were generating $900,000 to $1 million out of the PCC. And so there was a whole lot of cash coming through, and it was easy to use that money to cover the differences between the operating expenses and the operating income. And when the PCC started to dwindle in 20, you could now start to see a gap between the income and the expenses to the tune, you know, of what would amount to be somewhere in the neighborhood of -$1 million, right? The other sources came in, covered the difference, and it left us with a net operating income that was negative for the last, really what was 3 years, 17, 18, 19. This year, what we've been able to do is sort of go on what we would consider to be an austerity program. And in that austerity program, we've managed to drive some cost out of the business in order to offset the losses in revenue from the PCC. Now, what's going to happen next year, if you look at the trend, you know, in that red line of expenses, what you can see is that we were operating at about $5.5 million of expenses. And in 20, as COVID hit, we lost employees from dining in particular, right? And so the total cost went down. It was driven by wage. We went into our austerity program and we drove it down further, but we're going to be normal. Okay, we're going to normal here. And as we go to normal, we're going to come back up in expenses because we have dining, we have other expenses that are there for maintenance and repair. We have inflation going on, and so we expect to come back up and an increase from what'll be this year to next year of about $500,000. It's still $500,000 less than what our run rate was. So we're in good shape, but we need to figure out how we're going to fill that gap, right? So the finance committee is charged with what are the ways to fill that gap, right? It's going to be, how are we going to, you know, what are we going to get from dues? What are we going to get from, are we going to do some fees? What is it going to be? We don't know at this point. We need to finally finish assessing what it is that we need and what it is that it's going to cost and what our income's going to be. And we need to be able to focus on, you know, how we're going to generate additional income. And hopefully it'll come from the PCC and we'll get back on track. There are a couple of things that I wanted to point out. Do you have the slides from did you make slides on the CPI stuff?
No, it's
No.
just in the board packet.
Okay, so let me just take a couple of minutes to talk about what's going on with CPI. I talked about it last month when Jim Russ asked me to do some forward thinking, and so I did, and he didn't show up for the meeting. And so I'm going to continue on that thought a little bit about the CPI, which I started to talk about. The CPI, like I said last month, is being driven by energy and wage, right? And we're impacted by the wage part of that, and it's gone up almost 16% over the last year. We are not so affected by the energy increases, although there's a little bit. We can see our utility expense going up, and we need to be able to deal with that, but it's driven by wage mostly. And the other thing that's out there, obviously, that's important to us is food, right? Because in the food category, it's been around 3.5, 3.4, 3.3, and that looks like it could be calming down, although there's no real evidence that it's calming down. The CPI went from 5.4 last month in July to 5.3 in August, which is a good sign because it showed sort of what might be the end of the what was the expected inflation. However, I would not promise anybody that that was the end of it, especially with the fiscal policy that's going on. What I would say is that sometime, I believe it might be in the next few days, we're going to get another look at the CPI. And we'll see if it can go down 2 months in a row. If it can, that'd be great. We'll put a stake in the ground. We'll drive our assessment of the dues off of the CPI, plus whatever it is that we need to recover some of the gap that we have to worry about, because that's only going to keep us, where we are, which is in a negative position. We can't do that. We need to find a way to manage our operating expenses with our operating income and use the additional sources of revenue to drive improvements in the building. And there are a lot of improvements that we need to be doing. And so we need to establish the way forward to stabilize our income and operating expense together, and then allow for our added sources of income to drive improvements. And so that's what I'm going to be pushing in the budget meeting, and that's what we'll try to push until we can come to a good recommendation that's fair, that's affordable, that sort of gets us to where we need to be. And obviously, I don't know what that is right now. Bill, I don't think you know what that is. There's nobody that sat on the board, that on the finance committee, that know the answer to that just yet. We have a lot of talking to do about it still before we can make a recommendation. But that's what's going on with the finance and the relationship between the consumer price index, the inflation that everybody's hearing about, and how that might affect us, and how that might affect Mount Vernon Tower. So with that, the board have any questions on that? God, no. That's
I think we should be working towards having the HOA fees cover our cost of operation and not relying on PCC and food profits. Use that for reserve.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
No, that's the right thought. That's the right thinking. Oh, well, the right thinking. Somebody could disagree with that. That's the same thinking that I have. May not be right, but I hope it is.
Well, it was right when we had the income coming in.
Yeah. Okay. Activities?
still have we still have a lot of activities scheduled, a lot of attendance. We're very happy with that part of it. The October activities calendar will be coming out shortly. We have had a driver problem, and hopefully that will be taken care of for the activities this week.
We have not, just to clarify, have not canceled any activities because of a driver.
That's it.
That's it? All right. Okay. Scott? You're good. It looks like it's on.
Hello? It's on? Okay. The core committee, we had a meeting and had various little topics addressed, and a couple of things are cleaning up some areas around the building that needed a little attention, and those have been taken care of. A little bit of talking about getting somebody in here to do a little touch up on the front desk to try to take care of some of the dings and dangs that have occurred over the last 2 years. And we have some front lights we've purchased to go over the desk. They should be going up in the next couple of weeks. These were a real, quite frankly, a real steal in getting a hold of them. For the price we paid for them, we paid about a third of what their market on them is. So we were good on that. And we're still looking at the front entrance evaluation of what's the best way to change the front entrance to cut down on that beautiful fresh air shot that we get every time it opens in the wintertime. So that's kind of where we stand with decor.
Okay. Read.
The landscape committee did not meet in September. We will be meeting with the city of Sandy Springs in the next week or so. And after that meeting, we will have a meeting in the middle of October and discuss what the landscape committee will be doing moving forward. But until we have some direction from them, and some direction on the budget we have to operate on, we're in standstill.
When is that meeting with the city?
It's yet to be said.
Okay.
Nominating is next. That's Scott.
Okay, nominating committee, we have put a notice in the Towers Talk asking for volunteers from the nominating committee, and those volunteer names are due in Friday of this week, so we can then form the committee and get started on the nominating process.
Hey, Rita. How was the meeting with Russell Paul?
Great. I thought it was great.
How many people showed up?
We probably had 65 in the meeting.
Really? Really? Oh.
Actually, probably a little over that because we had to bring more chairs out. Yep. We've got some things coming up in the works with his group and the Chamber of Commerce that I'm excited about. When I know the dates and times, I'll let the board know.
Great, great. How many people here attended the meeting with Rusty Paul? Oh, good. Good, that's good. Who knows if they'll win?
Yep, and if you notice, and when I said 65, and I forgot to bring out more chairs, with the pictures and the screen in the back, we could only fit 82 chairs in here, so the screen and pictures have now been removed, and they are stored in our white building that was completely cleaned out almost.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
we can have an auction soon if you'd like. I have some that might go for some money.
Let's set it up, yeah. Let's set it up. Let's set up that auction. Antiques Roadshow. All right, any other business? Because I think that concludes the agenda items that we had. Nice brief meeting.
Questions from the audience?
How we're gonna get there, I just want to make sure that the board doesn't have any other business that we want to talk about.
I just want to say something really small on activities just for now. I know the last meeting we talked about keeping the same activities that we've had, but adding more activities in that might be more cost effective and be more welcoming to all those who may be less mobile. And we're doing that for September, and Taylor is kind of accumulating some analysis and some data all the way back from 2018 to compare and present for the next board meeting. She'll send it to us first along with the survey.
Great.
There's been a lot of talk about that today and back and forth in emails, so.
All right. I think the only other thing that I wanted to mention, just real quick, and sorry, Scott, because it looks like I just was about to cut you off, but just that, do you know when we might expect a report on the structural assessment? I know we talked about that last time, but
Yes, next Friday.
next Friday, okay. And we should have environmental report on
This Friday.
This Friday, okay, great. Okay. All right, sorry about that.
I've been doing a little tracking on the food costs that were being charged by Morrison's and is reported here. And over the months, it has gone, they committed to us that they were gonna get their food cost down to $3.55 a meal. That was part of the bargaining that they went through. And of course, they were also gonna have the dining room open a long time ago, but that didn't happen. But the food cost in June was $5.31 a meal. In July, it was $6.35 a meal. And just taken out of the report today, for August, it came down to $4.45 a meal. So we're still about $1 a meal over the cost that they had told us they were gonna be providing meals for. So just thought it's something we need to track because this is our expense.
Yeah.
We need to get into the program that they said they were gonna provide.
Yeah, and
So-
we're actually meeting with Morrison's tomorrow to go over these numbers.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
questions? Yep, we're ready for that.
You know, on behalf of what you're talking about, as
Let's,
far as the bill cost, I happen to know that I can hardly go to the grocery store anymore. So I understand where Morrison's is coming from. I mean, check your own grocery bill. And I'm sorry that they are not where they said they should be. I'm not where I should be either. Yes, they have. And the food is a little bit better, by the way, I think.
Thank you. Any other questions?
You want to get a mic, Taylor?
Yeah, just for the benefit of everybody.
I just wanted to check on the staffing by Morrison's. And I know I talked to Todd recently, maybe a couple weeks ago, and he said he was still having problems identifying people he wanted to hire. And then last night, it was very thin in there. He was actually seeing people. I didn't see many other people that normally are at the head of the table, head of the door, placing people. So I just wondered how that is coming in terms of the staffing.
Well, unfortunately, last night we had 5 call-outs due to not feeling well, and they follow our protocol. So when an employee calls out sick, they have to go be tested for COVID and provide a negative COVID test. But that was the issue last night.
Yeah, look, hey, I'm not gonna make any excuses for, either Morrison's or the world right now, right? Because you can see everywhere, you can see help wanted everywhere, okay? I don't know where people are. I don't know what they're doing, why they're not working. And I just know I'm working 2 jobs, 2.5 with this one. But so it is really confounding. What they've done at this point is it's costing us more in labor as well, not just the food costs. We know food costs are going up, they've been going up, okay? And we also know that labor costs are going up, okay? And they're working on a lot of temporary labor, which we can't stand. We don't like that, that's not what we want, okay? I'm looking for my alternative, but if I put an ad in the paper,
We're gonna have the same problem that I'm having. I need a
Right,
person in
yeah,
every
so-
department.
so I want to make sure that it's not an excuse. We have a contract with the company, okay? They came and they sold us something that we decided to go with. What we're concerned right now with is, are you getting a good meal? Okay? Do you feel comfortable socializing again? Okay? And are you having fun when you're going down there? Because that's what we have to offer right now. We don't have elegant dining with 5 Michelin star service. We don't have that. Maybe we will, we don't have it right now. We are well aware of it, abundantly aware of it. So, what are the questions? You don't? Oh,
Most of you don't know me. My name is Dan Castle. 3 years ago, I bought B902 and 904. And last week, I closed on B809 and 811. I currently live at Blue Ridge, but intend to reside here with you all someday. Are you having a hard time hearing me?
I can hear you. He's my father, so I know he can't hear you.
Will have driven 4 hours today to ask this question of the board. 2 years ago, I wrote a letter of recommendation, I guess I'll call it, for Jerry Bauer, because there was something, I don't know what verb to use, going on regarding his relationship with MVT. I'm hearing through the grapevine that there's something going on again. And my question is anybody in this organization questioning Jerry Bauer and his commitment to this organization?
I don't mind taking the question, unless somebody else wants to take it for me. No? I think the answer is no. Nobody's questioning his commitment. Nobody is questioning his commitment. However, what I will tell you is that at Mount Vernon Towers, as an investor in here with 4 or 5 units now, pay attention, okay? Because to these numbers, and what it means is that everything is on the table. When you don't operate efficiently, and you operate in a place which is just a little underwater, you question everything. So we are looking at every aspect of this business, including sales and marketing.
Okay.
And that's what we'll do.
And for some reason, there's a question then about Jerry's efficiency, to pick up on your work, in the way that he markets these units. Because I would love to debate that with anybody, anytime, anywhere. And as example number one, I know when I purchased 902 and 904, I only visited Mount Vernon Towers because a woman I was dating really wanted to live here.
That's a bad plan.
She was insistent that this was a great place, was telling me about all the attributes that she had learned from Jerry Bauer, but I stopped listening when she got to the point of there being an $1,100 a month homeowner's fee. I had just moved from Pennsylvania where I was paying $250 a month in a 55-plus community, which I thought was nuts. So when I drove on the property over here 3.5 years ago, it was only to appease her. I had no interest in buying here. After 2 hours with Jerry, he showed me the errors of my way, such that after 2 hours, I put an offer in on 2 condos that were not for sale. And within 24 hours, Jerry negotiated with the owner to explain to him how it was a good idea to sell them to this guy who was even willing to pay him a premium. And within 24 hours, I purchased it. After that, Jerry found 3 excellent people, Bob and Judy and George, which you probably all know, that I am delighted to have as tenants. So Jerry came through for me there, and based on that experience, I now purchased 2 more. So I look at Jerry Bauer as my representative on this site. I would not be here if it wasn't for him. And I know there are a lot of other people that may not be willing to stand up and say so, but agree with me on that. And I question why we keep looking at Jerry as a problem here, of something that's not helping this organization.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't know that he's being looked at, the Jerry Bauer's being looked at as a problem. I think what we
The
do
whole
is,
process.
I'm sorry?
It's the whole process, the whole area.
Right, we're evaluating all of sales, all of marketing, all of what we do financially, what we do in the admin, what we've done in dining, and that is another step in the process. We are entertaining alternatives, to be sure, and listening to other things, because to do something like this with your eyes closed isn't the way to do it. Jerry has gotten very good testimonial recommendations, just such as yours. And that is an important factor to us, and it'll be a very important factor within the decision-making process. And that's what I could say about it at this point.
If there's a decision-making process, that means there is something going on. How do I and other people who want to support Jerry, other than sending a piece of paper in, participate in that? Because we don't know the piece of paper is being read, we don't know the value that it has, and we don't know what the options or alternatives or whatever you call them, what they might be doing to wave their flag. So that's an important one to me. I'm 2 hours away and I'm dependent on Jerry Bauer to take care of my properties here. No offense to the board, you're very important too, but Jerry's very important to me.
I understand. Yes. Oh, you already have the microphone.
I'm sorry I didn't catch your name.
Dan.
I join you in appreciation of Jerry. We moved here the 1st of March, in the middle of COVID, when they wouldn't let our contractors come in. Our owner renovated our entire place and we were thrilled. And she pushed through and Jerry pushed through and we made a successful, he negotiated a fabulous contract for us. And I'll be forever grateful. And the lovely lady that we're renting from wants to move here in about 10 years, so we will have to be leaving. Hopefully we can go upstairs. But I just want to say, I think that Jerry is one of the greatest additions to this community. And who in the world else has their own private real estate agent, for crying out loud? Thank you very much.
Let me,
Yes, you just got to.
let me remind you, however, Ben, that each of these units is owned individually, and we can make our own choices as to what realtor we wish to use.
That's correct.
Well, I have questioned this marketing thing because we only have 5 units available out of 300. So it obviously, why do we need a marketing? We've got Jerry, he's doing a great job. And most of the people here come from by word of mouth anyway. So this marketing thing is huge in their minds, and I don't get it.
I didn't hear the first part of that. My understanding is we don't pay Jerry a penny. He gets his pay off of what he performs, right? What he sells.
That's correct.
So,
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, and he owns a condo. He owns more than one, but he lives in the condo he owns. I have tried my darndest to come up with the negative, and I can't find it.
Well, as I said, we only have 5 units available.
We're
Just
gonna
keep
have
it
2
simple.
more in a couple of months.
Yeah, but they move. I mean, I don't see it, that Jerry, I think it's working. Jerry's doing a great job.
I agree with you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
I'm not trying to make a big deal out of this, but when there's rumors
No,
flying
no, hey, listen, I'll just conclude with this. I'll just conclude with this on the Jerry Bauer, thing that's going on right now. We've gotten quite a few testimonials for him. I think that's very important. I think it's very important what people think about him and what he does here, and he is a resident here. What we want to do is look at, we don't know things, right? So unless you investigate alternatives, you don't know what you have, what you're missing. It doesn't mean that you go ahead and jump to a conclusion chasing the other side of the grass. But you look, you understand, and then you make the best decision you can for the community, and that's what we want to do. And if Jerry's the best decision for the community, I'm sure we'll make it. So.
And I agree with that, and I'll close with this. I grew up with the principle that you don't fix something that isn't broken. And so if the board or whoever comes up with something that they're concerned about, I think first of all, we as MVT owe Jerry an explanation of what that is and give him an opportunity to respond to it.
He is.
Move forward.
Okay.
He's been,
And since we're closing, Jerry has had many conversations with us, and we've had many conversations with Jerry. And so I think he understands, and we all know, what and why we're pursuing anything. Because we need to know. We want to understand what's out there.
he's been given the same expectations in writing as anyone else has been.
That's right. Okay. Yeah.
Total change of subject. The
Thank you.
COVID testing. I understood that they were going to be offering it every week. I'm going out of town, so I signed up to get one the first of last week. They told me it would be today, so I didn't go anywhere today. Now they tell me it's going to be Thursday, where I put all my appointments before I leave town on Thursday.
We have testing every Tuesday. As of Monday morning, there was no one signed up on the sheet, so I did not have them come today on site for no one signed up. I called them this afternoon and asked them to test someone of concern on Thursday.
Well, when I stopped by the front desk a few days ago, they looked at the list and they said, oh, you're on it along with other people.
That was last week.
Well, they never came last week.
They sure did come last week.
Huh?
They did come last week.
Well, why did I put my name in on Monday last week?
I'll have to check it, but I know positive that they came because we had people in quarantine.
Well, I know that I looked at the list because there's somebody else who wanted to get tested because she was going out of town. And we were at the front desk and she said, oh, if it's Tuesday, I won't be here, I'm leaving. So, I mean, I know the list was there with my name on it.
Can you get them to come back?
They are coming on Thursday,
Can you get
but
them to come back before Thursday?
before Thursday?
Yes.
I will have to see.
Would you see and put me on the list too?
I mean, so you want
For
to
Ellen
come?
and myself?
I mean, they're coming this Thursday. Today's Tuesday, so you want to
If
get
they're gonna
tested.
come for Ellen, I'd like to be on the list.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, turn around. Maybe I'm gonna get some booze, but I wanna talk about food. I think Morrison's serves very good food, but way too much. Now, maybe I'm wrong, residents should be responsible, but I've lived here 7 years, and I've never had so much food offered, and nobody ever turns us down. We all go back and we have a nice dinner. In addition to that, to make money, a liquor license and charge for the wine and the drinks. To me, that's very simple. This free giving, people are going to drink more if they don't have to pay for it, and you have to pay for it. Why don't we pay for it?
We are looking at that in the budget committee.
I firmly believe that. That's the way, I know you're not gonna make a lot of money, but it seems to me.
You know, we're having withdrawal, right, from being overly indulgent during
Yes,
COVID
yes.
to getting back to where we were pre-COVID, where
Never
there
has
was a
been.
fee. And I think that's a habit we've gotten into, and we need to go back to normal operations and get out of that habit. It was a good habit while it was there, while it was right.
not
But
good for
it's time to
us.
change. Yep. I appreciate that comment.
Yes, very much.
No, I did not believe it.
Would it be appropriate to get some kind of overview of what the PCC recovery plan is?
Yeah. Okay, so Jim, it's really very complicated, right? Because, and I would say, if I told you I had a great plan, I'd be lying to you, so I'm not gonna do that. What we know we've had to do was freshen the place up. It had gotten overwhelmed with stuff. It was looking old. Much of it has been repainted. We've got the remainder of the painting going on. We have some challenges in some of the rooms. We don't have one of the two spas that actually are operational. We have one that's fully operational. We are looking at other facilities to see what they're offering. We created a suite in there, which is nice. It was a no cost, very low cost adaptation of 2 rooms into 1 room. It's not exactly how you would configure it and structure it. And the first thing that we need to do is change a perception around that PCC, because for a very long time, for at least the last, I don't know, must be a year, people were reluctant to go there. People didn't even go up there to look, all right? And so we need to change how people think about it, and we're gonna change it by showing them what it is so that they can talk about it. We're starting to meet with starting to create opportunities to meet with the Chamber of Commerce, because I think we need to get the story out about what it is, how it is. We also have misinformed about what it is, right? People have thought it was some sort of more akin to an assisted living facility, but that's not what it is. It needs to be more social. It needs to get finished getting cleaned up, and we need to put some details into the rooms that we need to get there, so that when people see it, they won't think of it as a place that is through that elevator door into a whole new world, all right, where you don't come back from, because that's not what the PCC is intended to be. It is for respite, and it is for people who for some period of time need a little bit of extra, and that's what it's for. And so we need to promote that. We need to know that it's available. We need to know that it's a good place for people to go, and people want to go there when they have that need. An open house on October the, which day? 10th. I think will help, because I think it's important for us here to first know before everybody else knows, before we start trouncing people in. People here need to know so they can see it, talk about it with their family, see if it's right for them, and then start to take advantage of the facility. Yep, Sue.
Okay, I have also heard that it might be a good idea to change PCC to assisted living. And the reasoning for that is there are people here who use daily, aids or companions?
Activities, it's called activities of daily life.
Companions or someone who is working as an aide, and that takes care of the daily stuff. But the assisted living portion would allow a person who is either a tenant or maybe outside to be able to go upstairs, still be assisted living, and maintain their friendships. And then when you get a chance, I'd like to talk about question 4, which has to do with the lawsuits.
Okay, so on assisted living, so we are not recognized as an assisted living facility, right? We're not certified to do that. The facility, in fact, may not be appropriate for assisted living, right? We'd have to look at the regulations for the Department of Community Health in order to understand whether that is set up in a way that it could be converted to assisted living. But we haven't really, we have talked in a very general way about, things like assisted living, hospice, memory care, all those things. What do you do? What do you do? And at this point, nothing with respect to assisted living has developed from those conversations. We actually have to sort of pick a lane here right now, get in that lane, make sure that we are appropriately staffed for that lane, we have the right facility for that lane, and we are in compliance with the Department of Community Health, which we have had some issues with that up to this point. And that's what we're going to do. I think that that's what we're focused on doing, is trying to resurrect PCC in a way that it is a great place for us, and then we can develop from there. We can start to look from that point forward. Any other oh, you had another question.
Question 4. How many lawsuits are being brought against Mount Vernon Towers by the outside lawyer owner? What is the total amount paid so far, and how much more is expected? Would it be possible for Mount Vernon Towers to file a legal complaint with the Georgia Bar against this individual for harassment and filing frivolous lawsuits? And I need an answer for that. Are there any lawsuits pending? Question 1.
Yes. And I can certainly answer that question. There are some of all the other stuff that I'm not sure about. But on the lawsuits, there are 2 lawsuits that are going on, okay? One is what is a derivative action. The major lawsuit, I would say, is a derivative action to overturn the 2012 board's decision to pay a deferred compensation plan to the former executive director. Okay, everybody knows that. We call it the pension. It's not really a pension, but that's what we call it, so I'll just refer to it that way. That is lawsuit number 1. The premise, her premise, the outside lawyer's premise is that it was something called an ultra vires act. That just means that the board didn't have the authority to make that decision. That's what that's going to rest on. The second lawsuit is less. It's less complicated because it is an assessment that we made to the individual, because the individual was purporting to file the derivative claim or the other lawsuit. And so in doing that, we essentially, the board at the time assessed her condo a fee of $5,000 to cover what was the deductible of the insurance claim. Okay? The lawsuit was about, why'd you do that? Her view, why'd you do that to me? You had no right to do it. And it then pivots on, well, you did it, and now I have to pay my money to defend myself on an action you caused. That's the other lawsuit. And it comes down to, is it true, in her view, and did we do it in bad faith? Did we do it in a way that was just to harm her because she was talking, an annoyance, right? And that's what that lawsuit is about. in that sense, that's a defense of honor, and the derivative action is an attack on the right of the board at the time to grant a deferred compensation. And that's sort of the two in a nutshell. Yep, a lot. A lot.
It's cost all of us.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, it's cost a lot. Here's what it's, I can't tell you how much it's cost because I haven't seen, when I look at lawyer bills around here, I look at a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we have lawyer bills for, okay? But it's a lot of money. There is a defense of her every time she wants to defend herself. She goes to us, we defend ourselves, it costs us money, okay? And we have not just paid for that with respect to direct legal fees from our own attorney defending us, it has also, in some respects, cost us through insurance premiums, okay? So, the question was asked before about our D&O insurance, about why was it canceled, right? Why is it canceled? It's canceled because of decisions we make, not that others make. And when we make those decisions as board members, okay, then there are consequences that come around to that, so they've been good decisions. And that insurance premium was canceled. Now that costs us to have to renew at a higher premium with a higher deductible, okay? But those come from bad decisions, not any person that has done something to us, okay? We've done that to ourselves. So I'm not trying to defend that lawyer, I'm just telling you the fact. We do it to ourselves. And so there's a cost to it, and it's expensive. I wish we didn't have it. I'm trying to negotiate a resolution to it. And it's a tough, tough negotiation.
So do we currently have D&O insurance?
Yeah.
Because the person who is running for the board positions needs to be covered, or you're not going to get anybody on the nominating.
Every single one of us would quit if we weren't covered.
Fully agree.
I do believe we're covered by saying that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, with that, anybody want to make a motion to conclude?
So moved.
All those in favor?
May we have the next dates, please?
Oh,
Yes.
you know what? I always forget that because it always is going to change.
And I always remind you.
It's always in the calendar though, by the first of the month.
We said October 20th, 21,
Yeah,
that's the last one I got.
yeah, we did not make November.
Would anybody be opposed to making it on the third Tuesday? What's that?
The third Tuesday of every month instead of the third
Yeah,
Saturday.
instead of Saturday.
October 20th is Wednesday.
Yeah, that's,
Right, I think we did that, and somebody had a conflict on the 19th.
I'm good with the 20th.
I'm clear on either day,
Okay,
either day.
Okay.
and then you want to go ahead and set November? Our normal meeting would be
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Okay, so Thanksgiving is on what day?
the 25th.
See, the 16th, that's Tuesday.
So we need to be careful about the numbers being ready.
Yeah.
So we need to be on around the 18th and 19th,
Yeah,
probably.
that week we need to push it out as late as we can, just because the way things drop.
So,
I can't hear you.
We're talking about.
They're just
yeah, it's October 20th
Right, October
is
20th.
the next day.
Is that a Thursday?
It's a Wednesday, Wednesday, 1:30 PM. And we're looking at, do you have a date?
November, I would say the 18th or 19th. I mean, that's gonna be a Thursday, okay. When's good? I mean,
20th?
the 20th?
November 20th.
Okay, that'll be Saturday.
That's a Saturday.
Saturday it will be.
Well, I
Saturday.
just, you know.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not going according to a predetermined
Well,
plan.
that week is kind of hard because of Thanksgiving. So,
But Thanksgiving is the following
yeah,
Thursday, right?
yeah.
We'll do Saturday.
Yes.
9:30. All right?
I still haven't heard today.
Okay, October 20th at 1:30, that is a Wednesday, and November 20th is a Saturday at 9:30.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have a vote now? We do already have a motion on the table. Aye. It's 2:33.